Welcome to Next Level Home Experts with Boss Services. This is the show that helps you take your home to the next level. Your complete source for all your home questions, featuring in-depth interviews with the best home services experts in the industry. And now, your hosts, Boss Services owners and authors, Jeff and Jerry Street.
Welcome to Next Level Home Experts. I am Jeff Street.
Jerry Street.
Jerry Street is with us as well, in case you guys were worried about it.
I'm here.
Tips for home exterior cleanups this spring. So if you want to know how to clean your house and yard and stuff, we may or may not get into that. We're
going to get into washing everything.
Yeah.
We're going to wash everything.
If it's dirty, it's about to get clean.
You got to wash it.
Yeah. We have our guest today is Rick Sparks. He is the owner of Rick's Gutter Covers and Power Washing. It's going to be a lot of information. We're going to learn a lot here, and we're going to learn how to clean and protect and maintenance and all that.
Rick is a super interesting guy. He's been washing a lot of stuff for a long time, and I was surprised how much I learned from this episode. So stay tuned.
Yes. Yep. Get ready. Strap in. Rick, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. So tell us about Rick's Gutter Covers and Power Washing. Tell us what you do, what services, and service area and all the basic stuff.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit how you got into it. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm going to go back a little ways. I started as an iron worker several years ago, which then got me involved in OSHA and crane inspections, which then I ended up starting my own business about 1997, and it was power washing. So we started with a real little power washing unit and started learning all about it. And by the time I got up to St. Joe, which I started in New Buffalo in 2004, we had probably $30,000 worth of equipment. As it grew, getting bigger, and I've now kind of downsized a little bit and found out I didn't need that great big, all that great big equipment. Yeah. So we still can use. I get up to 5 guys, depending on the job, but pretty much it's me and one other guy doing it.
Nice. So how long have you been in business then? That's been a while.
It's been a while. We got 20 years in.
Oh yeah. Nice. Nice. And so when did you get into the gutter covers?
The gutter covers was after I sort of got into it in the beginning of 2020, and we got into a lot of the plastic ones. And I found out that I was, dealing with something that when I went back, the customer the product wasn't holding up. Yeah. And so I started looking around for the different types of products, and some of them had some excellent marketing, but their products had a failure to them. Yeah. So I ended up with this Diamondback gutter cover about 2004. 2004. Yeah. And he impressed me because he said the most truest thing about that was you can't expect every gutter cover to work 100%, and that's absolutely true. Yeah. There's little nuances about them that just don't quite work. The solid gutter covers, they have a little split in the front of them. That little split will get, like I call it, tartar, and it fills up, and the water won't flow over it because it's a molecular adhesion to have the gutter or the water come into the gutter. So anything that, if it gets dirty, you have to clean it on the inside and the outside. So when I was looking at gutters, I found that, and I realized this has got to be cleaned on a regular basis. So I don't want to try to put those gutter covers up. That's why we went with this.
You're looking for something more low maintenance.
Something that's low maintenance, something that's going to last the customer. Yeah. And they're not going to be calling me back. And so we got this Diamondback gutter cover that is mesh covered expanded metal for regular leaves, and it's different sizes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so they have a different design than most of what you're finding out there.
Yeah, it's you've got the stainless steel mesh, and we have that, but that's really only for pine needles. There's no sense in you getting something for pine needles if you don't have pine needles, and that's costing $40, $50, $60 a foot for that. That's kind of expensive.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and so there you go. We've learned something already. Gutter covers are custom to your situation. I didn't even thought about that.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I put gutter covers on mine, just some cheap big box store ones, before the winter to keep the leaves from my maple tree out.
Yep.
And the ice destroyed them over the winter. So that was a wasted investment. I put them up after the leaves fell. And then they got destroyed over the winter. So
they never did anything.
So they did absolutely nothing for me. So
the type you had might have went under the shingle. And if they go under the shingle, then there's a possibility that you can get an ice dam built up back there and water damage to the house. Yeah. The type that is Diamondback, they all are expanded into the gutter itself.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So there's no drilling. It's a compression fit, and we do a lot of work along the lake up here. So in a corner of a house where they're continually having something happen there with wind, we'll put a couple screws in just for safety. Right. That way I don't get called back and they don't get upset over what they bought.
Can you put those in the vinyl gutters?
Yes. Yeah. You can, as long as there's a lip, an outside lip. Yeah. Whereas some of the other gutter covers that are on the market, you have to install extra hardware up against the fascia in order to support the back of it.
Right.
And then something in the front that has to support the front if it doesn't have it. Yeah. So where this comes all complete, the only time that we have to do anything is if whoever put the gutters up didn't space them approximately 18 to 20 inches on the gutter spikes.
Right.
Then we have trouble having it support. So we put extra screws in.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Which also helps hold the gutter up.
Right.
From the weight of the snow and any other problems that may come up there.
Yeah.
So how did you make the jump from power washing to gutters in general? Is it because you were cleaning the gutters out? Is that what you were doing? Or
yeah, it started out, I'm washing the house, and then I'm washing the dirt's coming down from the gutter. Yeah. And I'm going, well, if I don't clean the gutter, this guy's not going to like the way that
coming down.
Yeah. Because what'll happen is it'll fill up with the water, and then it'll go down in the back side of the gutter, not only on the front side.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things. And then when I started doing that, then I said, well, they need to not have to have this cleaned on a regular basis, which actually would take away from some of my business as gutter cleaning, but give them an offer that they can put this up and you don't have to worry about gutters. The only time that I've ever found that I have a problem with either my type of gutter or the other type of gutter is the real fine mesh on pine trees overhanging. The sap will actually fill up them little tiny holes.
Yeah.
And we just brush it off and it's gone. But, for like the guy that I got these from said, nothing's 100%. Right. And that's a pretty good average and not having to do much to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
just
awesome.
Because of the pine.
Well,
sap.
Look, I mean, I like a sales pitch that's not a sales pitch. I like to be told the honest truth. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's refreshing to hear like, hey, this isn't going to work 100% of the time. There is going to be some maintenance to it. There is going to be some things that get through it. And that's, I like it. So let's talk about surfaces. So as far as power washing goes, like what do you wash? What do you do mostly?
We wash everything.
Everything. Wash your dog?
You
can power wash that dog?
You can wash everything. The dog will probably be a little skeptical about being washed with it. The secret about power washing I found over the years was not so much you don't use a lot of pressure as you use a lot of volume and lower pressure and a good solution that'll work. The mold, mildew, spider webs. That's another thing. People have a lot of problems around here on the lakes, and we go up there and we spray our product up there to get rid of the spider webs, because if you try to wash them off, they just stick.
Yeah.
So we got something that melts it off. So the spider webs disappear, and then it gives a residual on there, and it kind of keeps them away. Some spiders will spin their webs nightly. Some will not come back because they didn't like the smell or the taste or whatever of the product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see a lot of, I see a lot of, until probably 2 years ago, I had never even thought about washing my house. Like, it's just something that never occurred to me. And then I joined a pressure washing group on Facebook, and I started reading about, washing your house and stuff. And I was like, I never thought about that. And then I see the house wash mix pop up in Home Depot and Lowe's. And I was like, well, that's weird. I've never even heard of this, but 2 years ago, and now they have pallets of this stuff. So I guess the question is, that hooks up to your garden hose, and I've used it and I didn't notice a difference. I think I was just spraying water on my house. So
Sunny water.
What's the difference, I guess, in something like that and what you're doing?
You want to know the secret of my solution?
Well, I don't want to give you the trade secrets.
What's the secret sauce?
You're probably using a different, maybe a stronger or just a different solution, and I'm guessing just a little bit of pressure then.
Yeah,
and that's what's missing.
Actually, the stuff that you find, let me clarify that. The stuff that you find in Lowe's, it can be used, but it has to be put on pretty, quite a large amount of it. The best place for that kind of stuff is on the aluminum siding, not the vinyl.
Yeah.
Because the aluminum siding, even though it looks dirty, a lot of times people have washed it, and the aluminum underneath is starting to show through and makes it look like there's mold or mildew. Yeah. So when people call me about that, I say, well, you have to do a low pressure wash and mainly a solution on there. And it still will wash some of the paint off. So I try to guide them to using their own hose and using the stuff from Lowe's. Now, the stuff that I use, I'm going to get fancy with you. I use a suffocant. Have you heard of that?
I'm not.
Okay.
Sounds illegal.
A suffocant.
I buy it in a dark alley.
I like it because nobody has ever heard of it, but I use it. I use it quite regularly in what I do, because a suffocant actually makes water wetter. And therefore, I can
Come on, Rick. Come on.
I'm serious.
Come on.
Look it up in your Funkin' Wagnall.
Wetter water.
Yeah.
You heard it here, boys and girls.
Yes, you did.
You heard it here first.
I can guarantee that it makes a difference. You can actually feel the difference in the water being wetter. It breaks it down the tension, because everything's got tension on it, and all the brick, concrete, whatever. Yeah. So if you use wetter water, the soap works better. And you need to put a part of it as a chlorine bleach solution. Right. And they've got them from 7% up to 15, 16%. Right. So you can't go crazy with that, because then you have problems with plants. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so over the years, we've learned what solution, and then they actually have a solution spraying unit that premixes it with water for you going through your pressure washer.
Right.
Not through the pressure washer part, but through the hose.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Because if it gets inside, obviously it's corrosive and
damage a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and fact is, the one machine I've had, with one rebuild, I've had one of the machines for over 10 years. So
it's a lot of work.
Keeping a good maintenance on the machine, not letting it run without pulling the trigger, especially these small home machines. If somebody's got one and they sit there and they want to talk to their neighbor about something while it's running, it's hurting the machine.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Just being under pressure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Just running and it'll even start leaking out, and there's an overflow valve for if it gets overheated.
What I've learned over the last couple of years of reading this pressure washer group, what I learned is there's a lot more to it than I initially thought. Like, I thought it's a pressure washer. I'm just going to grab it and I'm just going to spray things and we're going to have a good time.
We're just going to get wet.
And I've learned that, solutions can damage equipment. It can damage houses. It can damage concrete if you do it wrong. And so it's really it's opened my eyes and made me a little more careful, because I bought the most powerful pressure washer that the old big box store has. And I have damaged some of my stuff with it because it's fun, but I am super careful about solutions in it now, because I don't want to damage things permanently, and I don't use it as much as I used to.
Well, you don't want to use that red nozzle for much.
I do not. I don't play with that. That's the no nozzle.
Yeah.
The no nozzle. I like it.
They've got in the pressure washer world nozzles for explicitly putting on solution, and it will shoot up there 20, 30 feet.
Yeah.
So someone with a 4 to 6 foot wand can actually do second story. We have the equipment that's already a 16-foot wand, so we can get 2-3 stories without having to involve a ladder or a lift or anything like that. So our price is going to be a little bit better than the guy that has to maybe climb up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What I thought was interesting at home shows is I saw people advertising pressure washing their roof, and I thought that pressure washing a roof, I guess pressure washing in my mind has always been high pressure.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, that's going to destroy your shingles. And I just thought that was
you envision
weird.
all the granules, exploding.
Just a big mess everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was super interesting that you can actually wash your roof and make it look nice again.
Well, you probably run into growth on, mold, or not mold, but moss and stuff on the roof. Yeah.
Yeah. They have a solution that we have put on before that's spray and forget. And you can get that attaches to your hose, or you can get it in bulk and then mix it. We get it in bulk, mix it a little bit stronger, spray it on the roof for the people, and then let them know 6 weeks to 6 months that might go away. And then we give them the option that we can get up there and it'll be gone today.
Yeah.
So in us taking care of it 1 to 2 days, depending on how severely damaged it is. The black streaks are the mold.
Yeah.
And you can lighten your roof. Again, you're going to use a mixture with some bleach in it, because that's the only thing that's going to kill that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on the type of pressure washer that we have, we can regulate it down to a low pressure with high volume, or we can get high volume and high pressure. That's more for concrete.
Yeah.
So by having a variable pressure gauge on that, plus a not just the wand, because if you use the wand up there, you're going to get closer and further away and closer and further away. So we use a rotary up there that maintains a certain distance, and we do that on decks and concrete, so it's uniform clean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the biggest problem I have.
I always have streaks.
I do too.
Sure.
Because
you're wanding that thing around, and you're
writing my name in it, and I can't get it out.
That's the first thing I see when I get to people's house and call me, is you can see where they wrote their name. You go, playing with the red nozzle.
With the red.
It's there forever.
That's awesome. So I imagine your busy time is probably coming up. Springtime is probably your busy time, huh? And so what's your average? I mean, are you doing mostly houses, or what's your work consist of mostly?
Okay. I have power washed, like I said, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I've power washed cranes, overhead cranes, ditch diggers, RVs, mobile homes.
Sure.
So
just anything you can think of.
Anything that you need washed, it can be washed.
Yeah.
And it all honestly comes down to what solution you're using and the amount of pressure. And I get a lot of people that call me to do their boats.
Oh,
and
sure. Yeah.
they've got that clear coat on there, so you got to be very careful with that.
Yeah.
So it's not just grab a pressure washer from Lowe's and go out and do it, just like you said. It's interesting. On the roof, I did my own roof first, and then I replaced the shingles that I messed up. And that was way back in I think, about 2000, I got into doing roofs, and I went, well, there's got to be a difference. So back then, they didn't have so many classes on how to show it, but it was a big learning process for me, and I really liked it. The biggest thing I can say that I like is I can inform people of what they should do and what they shouldn't do, and let them have their own idea of what they want to do. And I've learned a lot from the business, and I feel that I'm pretty knowledgeable now about that and the gutter guards.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty about being in anything for the amount of time that you're in there, right? Like, so you're now an expert, and it comes easy. And it doesn't just start off that way.
No.
You know, you have to make some mistakes, and it's always good to make them on your own project before you go out and make it on someone else's. But I mean, we do the same thing every time we introduce something new. We try it, and break our stuff, and then that's what you want to do. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let me just make one other little thing here. For decks, you put a cleaner on a deck, a brightener. And then it'll take a lot of the grease and mold and stuff out of the grill. It'll take that off. And then I'm one that's against a solid color stain. I like to see like a toner on there so you can see the wood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if you put the same color on 3 or 4 years, you got a very nice patina. It looks good.
Yeah.
And if some of the ladies say, well, I'd like to see it match the chairs I bought, now you can wash it and change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you have the toner.
Yeah.
So that's about the only thing I got to say about deck staining.
Gotcha.
I have I would rather have a toner than a solid color. Even a semi is a good color to have.
Yeah, and I mean, is a stain easier to clean than if it were like actually painted? Because I imagine you can damage the paint pretty easy.
That's the biggest problem I run into. A lot of the finer houses, the builders match the house and the deck.
Yeah.
And when they have me come in there, and the paint has popped and there's missing paint in there. The reason is the wood moves. And when the wood moves, it breaks the cohesion of the paint. So to do it correctly, you would sand down each and every little spot through the whole deck, which is time consuming. Yeah. Then you prime that spot.
Yeah.
Then you paint that spot, and then you paint the whole thing.
Sure.
Otherwise, you'd be like looking into a jar. That hole gets deeper and deeper the more paint you put on it.
Yep.
So when I tell them your deck job is going to be $4,000, where if you'd had a toner on there, it'd been $1,500.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the big difference.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Things you don't think about when you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's say you get a lot of people that want that all matching and everything, and there's a price to pay for what you want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything has a life expectancy. Everything has a price.
Yeah. It's a little bit depressing. Like, I just did a roof last year, and already that roof's a year old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that thing's getting old already,
Yeah.
Everything has a shelf life.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you replace your furnace, it's starting to get old. As soon as you do your roof, your windows, I mean, whatever it is, So along those lines, so how often do you need to be washing your roof or your deck or your, like, I'm sure this is situational.
Yeah, it's pretty much that way.
Yeah.
If you wash it, it'll go a year or 2 years, depending on, obviously you get moisture on the siding. Mm-hmm. And the moisture don't get the sun, so the mold and mildew grows. So you'll get the north side of your house with the yellow and up underneath the soffit will turn black. That's black mold, spider webs, etc. So you can hit that, but if you're getting that, it's running down on the house. So now you got to do the house. So I do get people say, "Can you wash my trim?" Yes, but if I'm washing your trim, I got to do the rest of the house. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll just you'll be upset. After
you're gonna have streaks. Yeah.
So I would say, every 1 or 2 years, and depending on how much mold and mildew you see accumulating. If you have a lot of dusty roads, if you live next to a field, the guys plowing out there, a lot of that can be rinsed off yourself.
Yeah.
Why call a guy that you can actually do it with your hose?
Yeah. If it's just loose, dust. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Well, is there anything else that we haven't touched on?
I don't know. We talked about a lot, learned a lot.
That was a lot.
Let me tell you a little bit more about the gutters.
Oh yeah,
and the gutter guards. What I'm going to tell you about here is you get a lot of clogging with people who have the newer houses, and the gutters run underground. I mean, the downspouts go underground. Yeah. Okay. If you don't have any gutter guards up on top, the debris that granulates up there, it'll run down into that. And then it will, if it's a serrated one, it'll fill up the serrations underneath there. A seed will get in there. It'll grow. It'll crack. And now you got underground leakage, or you got a clog that will actually build up all the way up to the top of the house with water flowing over. And you want to know, why is my house running over at the gutters? Well, the biggest thing that I can say is it's like getting Roto-Rooter in there to clean that out. And if it's serrated little plastic, it's going to mess it up.
Yeah.
So we offer, when we run into that, putting extensions above ground 3 to 5 feet away from the house, if it's available. If it's up on the concrete, people got to kind of figure out whether they want the slippery slider or figure out what to do with the underground.
Yeah.
So that is the only thing that in putting on gutters, that helps that a lot.
I never even thought about that either. You're keeping the debris out of the, I mean, it's basically like a plumbing drain, with a screen or whatever. So you're protecting the drain. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't know, I think we probably do, but, mine are backed up on one side of my house. And so it goes down the downspout, and then it overflows from the top of the drain where it goes into the yard,
and then down in your basement,
and then it floods my basement.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing leads to another.
And so that's when you put this up above ground and extend it away.
Yeah.
Now, if you catch it early enough, we can actually flush some of that out. They have risers out in the yard on some of the older ones.
Sure.
And we can pull the riser out, flush it out. And even I tell the customer, if you want to do this yourself, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Stick the hose down in there, see where it comes out. A lot of times the grass will grow completely over the riser.
Right.
Yeah.
Won't let nothing up. So it will actually bubble up the grass. So you know where it should be coming out. You cut a little hole there and you're in good shape.
Yeah.
So rather than to spend $40 for me to do it, you can do it yourself.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about what you're comfortable doing and how much time you have.
Well, look, and all of this comes down to maintenance.
Yeah.
Which is what we're talking about. Like, and so if you're having things maintained, then you don't run into these catastrophic things. And that's the importance of having professionals out.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the thing that I feel bad about is when you go and you talk to some of the people that have fixed incomes and they can't do the maintenance.
Yeah.
And a friend of theirs has done it and they've done it wrong.
Oh,
which
sure.
then causes them more problems. So
Yeah.
I have a special pricing
Yeah.
for those people.
Yeah.
I'm
That's awesome.
trying to be as helpful as I can
Yeah.
and still not make them feel bad about the whole thing.
No, 100%. And I hesitate to kind of say this because it's going to be recorded, but I'll tell you where we run into this a lot, and everybody means well, but where we run into that a lot are churches, because everybody wants to help, but that doesn't mean that you're doing the right thing, and they can cause bigger problems than you really even had. And it's a tricky situation. I mean, you don't want to come in and just start bashing the people that are trying to help, because they are trying to help, but it can cause issues.
Now, I'm not going to really try to pat myself on the back, but I have went out and done churches that have called me various things. They get a special price too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're out there getting their money from what the people there are giving them, and their maintenance level is usually down pretty far. So
And again, they're relying on people to help, and people step up. They want to give their time, but if you're just watching YouTube videos, you might be doing the wrong thing. Yep, absolutely.
All right. So, wow, we talked about a lot.
That was a good one.
So, contact info and service area. So how far do you travel, and how do they get a hold of you?
Okay. I still go back down to New Buffalo area. I've got several customers still down that way. Get all the way up to South Haven, pretty much all of Berrien County, some of Cass. I've gotten into South Bend, but to be honest with you, the cost of going there and doing the job needs to be a good enough size job that it can be.
It's a lot of travel.
And be in there, because you usually have to go out and look at it, then turn around and come back and do the job if they want it. So I can do a lot of it over the internet with Google.
Yeah, sure.
I've gotten to where I can figure out, approximately how many feet of gutter guard will take, and give them an idea. And people are not always aware of what their house looks like up above. So that helps a lot. But generally, I like to get out there and take a look. And I get I'm on Rick's Mobile Power Washing .com and ricksgutterguards.com at Google. And I also use the local MailMax. And we put our deals in there. Currently doing 50 cents off a foot for up to 200 feet, which is $100 savings on it. And other than that, I try not to give them anything they don't need.
That's it. That's it. You have a phone number?
269-492-8069.
Perfect.
All right. Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming in and talking with us today. Very educational.
Yeah. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad I can. I do like enlightening people about a lot of the stuff. I learned that back when I was installing and working with cranes. A lot of the people that bought the cranes, big cranes, thought hundreds of thousands of dollars,
weren't maintaining
don't know exactly what they're using them for.
Yeah.
So if you can explain to people things, they get a better idea what they should be doing, shouldn't be doing.
That's what it's all about.
Awesome.
And thank you guys. I really appreciate it. You guys are pretty neat to talk to.
We try.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to Next Level Home Experts with Boss Services. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned some useful home tips along the way. If you found this episode valuable, please do us a favor and share it with others. And of course, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, if you have a home topic you'd like us to explore, email us at info@bosshvac.com. That's all for this episode. See you next time.